I've been meaning to make a video about Hazbin Hotel for a little while. So better now than never. As of making this video, Season 2 hasn't yet released, but I still want to jump on the hype train. So, today we're going to be drawing the Vees, in my own style. This isn't meant to be a rewrite, just a video where I change the designs to what I like. If you don't like my changes, that's perfectly fine, but we're here to have fun, and I'm gonna yap the whole time, and you better like it. Anyway, onto the video. So I think the biggest thing about Hazbin Hotel that I see people complaining about with the designs is stuff like, oh, they're too busy, they're too self-indulgent, and as much as I do agree, I also strongly disagree as well, because a lot of people use, like, Queen Bee as an example, that episode of, like, Hell of a Boss, where we meet Beelzebub, and her design, yes, very complicated. But then you have, like, actual animators coming out and saying they had a lot of fun with it, but then people... It's a complicated situation. Like, yes, the designs can be very busy and complicated, but at the same time, people seem to only complain about that kind of stuff when it's with Western animation. Like, you have anime where characters have, like, really complicated designs or a lot of intricate clothing or whatever, and people aren't often complaining about the complexity of those. But then, I feel like because Hazbin Hotel is in a Western style and it's a Western animation, people try to hold it to the same standards as others, even though it's clearly doing its own thing. Like, I have quite a lot of fun with looking at the designs and then it's just nice. I just like looking at them. They're very neat. Rosie especially. I love Rosie. She's like my all-time favorite. At the end of the day, I think it's fine to have more complicated designs in your series, as long as you're paying people the fair amount for animating it. Because self-indulgence is kind of the butter and tea of this thing. Is that actually a saying? Is butter and tea a saying? But like, just look at the Sparkle Dog. They have a Sparkle Dog in an official animated show on Amazon Prime, and people just have to deal with that. And I love it. I love that the series is just unapologetically someone's story. Someone made this story, they wanted to tell the story, they didn't really care about what other people said about the writing of the story, for better and for worse. But, like, I just gotta appreciate that. When it comes to the show, I think I didn't have very high expectations, which is probably what benefited me when it released, since when I first saw the show, it was when I was in high school, or maybe even middle school. How long ago was that? Oh my god. But I saw the pilot, and the premise really intrigued me. It got me really excited. But then, Hell of a Boss came out, and I have fallen out of love for Hell of a Boss for a couple years now, honestly. Ever since it started becoming just a doomed yaoi soap opera, I checked out. I did not sign up for this stuff. But then seeing the writing of Hell of a Boss and how it changed, I didn't have the highest expectations. I wasn't really looking forward to Hazbin Hotel's release because I wasn't sure, like, would it be good? Would it be bad? And turns out it's an indulgent show for teenagers, basically, and there's nothing wrong with that. I think cringe culture should die and people should be able to have fun with enjoying something. Whether I think it's good or not, well, let's get into that right now, actually. So I should probably finally talk about the character I'm drawing right now, which is Valentino. We don't fuck with Valentino. No. We don't. But I really like my take on his design. Well, obviously, I like my design, but still. When I was looking at the character and thinking, okay, what can be changed, he's the one I changed the most about, because looking at him, I don't see why anyone would want to give their soul to this man. He is bald and wearing a pimp hat. If that isn't a tell for what kind of person he is, I have no idea. No, the bald, maybe not, but the pimp hat, absolutely. That hat is actually the biggest gripe I have about his design. Everything else, okay, fine. But the stupid pimp hat. there are super serious scenes involving real topics with this character. Topics about, you know, owning someone's soul, sexual assault, other serious crimes, and then this scene is trying to be dramatic, but I can't take it seriously because I'm getting distracted by his stupid pimp hat. It's so distracting. It's bright pink. Like, what am I supposed to think? So yeah, obviously I removed the pimp hat from his design, but then I had to figure out where I'm supposed to put the feathers, and then I just decided, oh, his little antennae are gonna hang off his head, and I gave him hair. Woo! Hopefully he looks like someone that you might actually give your soul to. I don't know. I did keep his freaky tongue though, because like, that was really gross, and it's perfect. When it comes to sinners, I'm confused by the juxtaposition for some of them, but then others don't have that. Like, Angel Dust is a spider because of his family's web of crimes, mafia style, Mamma Mia or whatever. But then other characters don't have that. Like, for Baggy and Charlie, I get it. Like, one is the daughter of Lucifer, the other one is an angel, so obviously they won't fit that criteria. But then, why is Husk a kitty cat? Is he like, was he homeless at some point? Is it like, I don't know. I feel like a design sort of mocking a character's goals or biggest sin, I really want more of that. So with Valentino, you know, he's a moth, that's the kind of vibe they're going for, but I feel like they could have done more with it. They could have made him look a bit grosser, you know? Like, I've misshapen his feet to look like high heels, those are just his feet. I've given him 4 arms, which by itself ain't gross, you know, he has the freaky tongue and stuff. Just making them look less human, since otherwise, I mean, he looks pretty normal, being honest, besides his face, and I guess the wings, of course, but then where are his wings present on his base design? Are they wrapped around him? I have no idea. I don't know. I do really like the wings, though. I think they're really cool. So my intention with all 3 of the Vees was to make them resemble more of what they're supposed to be. Like, Valentino is a moth. In my head, I don't know if this is canon or not, but I think when he was alive, he was a very vain person. He was attracted towards the spotlight. Perhaps he even wanted to become an actor himself. But eventually, that was his downfall, or that was his greatest sin, to get into the spotlight. So now he is a moth, forever chasing that spotlight, even though eventually he will fall again. And then I'll get to Vox and Velvette when I actually show them on screen. But that's what I'm going for Valentino. I want him to come across as, well, what he is in the show. He's just a piece of absolute garbage. So as for his clothes and stuff, I wanted to keep it simple for the most part, but I'm indulging myself for this video. I'm taking the designs somewhere different than what I've already done. So for Valentino, he has very simple-ish under design because I want his overcoat to be the most complicated part. I want his wings to wrap around him like his coat. He still has a normal coat underneath it. Not sure exactly how that's gonna mesh with the wings. Maybe they're fused together, I don't know. But I want him to wrap it around him so that he's like showing it off constantly. And then it makes the moment really cool when he like spreads his wings out, almost like a way of trying to like intimidate people around him. Because he's already very tall and imposing, so I think him wanting to flaunt himself makes a lot of sense. I was quite tempted to change him to being a peacock, but I feel like the moth is less obvious, you know? Anyways. So yeah, that's Valentino. I didn't really focus too much on him because I was distracted with other topics. But now we'll move on to Vox. So when it comes to like the reason I redesigned the Vees over the Hazbin Hotel main cast is because one, I've seen a lot of people already doing that online, so I wanted to like spice up my video by doing something different. So then I contemplated like redesigning the overlords, but then I realized I'm not qualified to redesign a sparkle dog. That is not something I have the expertise in to change. And as for most of the characters, I didn't really have much issues with their designs. Like, Even for Vox and Velvette, I kind of struggled for a bit to come up with ideas on what to change about them. Well, Velvette more than Vox. Vox was actually kind of easy once I got a more solid idea of what I wanted. But then for other overlords like Alistair, I see a lot of people complaining about his design and changing it, but like, he has my favorite design out of the main cast of the characters. I can't really find many issues with the design from the standpoint of the show itself. Because, importantly, there are extra content said by the creator outside of the show, like, oh, this character is this ethnicity or whatever, but then you just don't see it at all in the show itself. And, you know, I don't know what's real or what's not at this point. It's kind of hard to dive into, like, all the facts people are saying Vivsy said, and where it was said, whether it's true or not, whether they retconned it or whatever. So for the most part, I'm just going off of my headcanons from the show itself, because, yeah, it can get kinda complicated. And I mean, I don't really like most Alistair redesigns. I'm just gonna say it. Like, I love the art, I love the design, but when you think about it as a replacement for Alistair, it just doesn't seem to fit. Like, the only thing I'd want to change about Alistair is just my little idea of his bow tie at the center of it. It has, like, a little speaker, almost like a little radio speaker, instead of just being a regular bow tie, and that's what he talks through. Alistair could be standing in a room looking at you, but he refuses to move his mouth. He just talks through the speaker to everyone, because he thinks he's so above all of them. And then when his mouth actually moves, it's like one of those big moments where you're like, oh, because, you know, it'd be a nice thing of showing and not telling, like, oh, look how scary this character is, oh, he thinks he's above everybody. You could show that. You can show that in so many ways. And I think it would be so petty. I love Alistair when he's being a petty bitch, because it is perfect. But then, okay, I should probably focus on Vox. But for Vox, so when I thought about Alistair, that is how I got the ideas for what I was going to change about Vox. For one, I wanted him to look a bit more disheveled in a way, where it's like, yes, he's still presenting himself as fancy, he still is the most modern tech, but he has a bunch of wires sticking out of his head and going down his arms, because he has been taking himself apart and putting himself back together for years. You can get some good body horror stuff with that, being honest. But, like, knowing this character is always trying to change himself to be perfect and be the best and on top of everybody, that's his flaw. That's why he was cursed to be a TV, because he's always going to be stuck, constantly rebuilding himself, trying to be on top when everything is advancing faster than he can keep up. It's why he wants to be in control so bad, so he can control the rate at which things advance, so he can always be on top of everything else. And since he has a monopoly, it works. A little idea I had is that when he does that thing, like he did in the Stayed Gone musical number, he attaches his head to his main TVs and like they project all the stuff and let him see it. I think it'd be neat if he had to unplug his head from his body to do that. And then like if he short circuits or whatever, he can't move the rest of his body. He can only move like his arms and his head, and he's just stuck in his chair if he short circuits until someone comes and like turns him off and on again. It probably has to be Valentino or Velvette like every time because no one else is allowed in his man cave or something. Also, I like the sharks. This is a side note. I just love that he has sharks in there. Very big fan of sharks. Very big fan. Best characters in the whole show. Anyways, so for his outfit specifically, I know that he's trying to replicate Alistair, but then I wanted to change it to look more like a news anchor or just like more TV related. Like you see people wearing suits and ties. You don't really see them wearing top hats and stuff, which I'm gonna be honest, I just completely forgot to add the top hat in the sketch, and I didn't notice until I finished the sketch. And I'm wondering, did any of y'all notice the hat was missing? Tell me, like, I want to know because I genuinely had no idea it was missing, and so I just didn't put it back in. It doesn't feel like a necessary component for his design, and I rather have the little antenna move around and be expressive, you know? I totally wasn't inspired by a separate TV character that has recently come into the limelight. No. There's totally nothing like that. But then for his outfit, you know, it's a suit, he still has the tailcoat, because obviously he's trying to rip off Alistair, but then enough is changed about him where he gives off a completely different vibe. And then of course the wires on his arms are showing off, but that's mostly because he thinks it looks cool. He wants to look cool and intimidating and badass, and if anyone tries to poke fun at him, he shoots them immediately. Or gets Valentino to shoot them immediately. It's a mutual relationship. But yeah, as for Vox's role in, like, Season 2, I really hope that he gets some interesting moments, because, like, the Vees were shown off in Season 1, and they didn't really get a lot after that. Like, all of them had their moment, but then we weren't really sure what they were going for, besides just, oh, we want more power. So I'm curious to see what happens, you know? Maybe Valentino and Vox really are making out in the back room. Who knows? Well, now that we're getting done with Vox, I think we should move on to Velvette. So Velvette's design was probably the hardest one to figure out how I was gonna change, because I really like her base design. I remember back when they showed off the character redesigns, like before Season 1 released, a lot of people were mad about Velvette's change, when, like, I had no idea she was even supposed to be an overlord. Just based on what I saw in the pilot. Like, I assumed she was a child, like maybe she was adopted by the other two in the scene or something, but she looked very childish and very immature, and overall, I love her more sleek design. Usually sanding down the edges isn't a good thing, but in this situation, it was. I love her heart-shaped hair. I mean this in the most positive way possible. She looks like she could be a Cookie Run character. And I love it. I love Cookie Run character designs, they're so good. Like I really like her outfits as well. I love how her hair keeps changing. I don't know if this is just my headcanon or if it's actually canon, but I think she wears a wig. I think, like, her base hair is this nice curly puffy cloud hair, but then every other hairstyle we see her in is just like a wig. Or just an extra extension of her hair to make it look different. Because how else would you go from this to this? I don't see how that can happen naturally unless she's actively cutting her hair throughout the series, which is probably unlikely. Or maybe it's just magical hell hair juice, I don't know. So for Velvette's design, I don't remember where I heard this, and I don't even know if it's true, but at some point someone mentioned that she's supposed to be a doll. And that is what I wanted to use for this design. Like, I want her to look the most human out of all the characters so far, because she is meant to be a doll. She is someone that was so focused on her appearance and her looks and how she appeared to other people, especially through social media, that in hell she's cursed to be this ideal person she wanted to be. But she's still stuck with all her previous flaws. She realized it didn't fix any of her issues to get exactly the face, the body, the look that she wanted. And that's annoying her a lot. She thought it would change her life forever, and then she's stuck in hell, and it's not actually much different. So I wanted to show a bit more of that doll-like stuff. I mostly just gave her button eyes, because I was contemplating giving her, like, lines on her joints, but then that felt more like a puppet than just, like, a dress-up doll. So I was hoping that changing up her outfit would help convey that as well. I love her outfit. I think it looks awesome. But then I wanted to give her something that looked more mature, I guess. I wanted her to look less like a child and more like she's just a short adult, you know? Even in her current design, I can still understand someone confusing Velvette for, like, being a child. And the biggest thing is giving her a nose. I know this sounds weird, but, like, I love Velvette's face design, but then the moment you see her side profile, it's like, ooh, why is her mouth like that? Oh god. Like, the other characters that don't have noses, like, their profile is fine. But because Velvette's face is so squished, hers just looks weird. So I gave her a nose to hopefully fix that. I didn't really change her hair at all because I really liked the hair. I don't see how you can perfect perfection. But yeah, for the rest of her design, you know, I gave her some arm warmers. If you haven't seen my previous videos, I am a sucker for arm warmers and leg warmers. They're like one of my favorite things to add to a design. But the rest of it, you know, she has her coat, she has her dress, she has boots. I gave her the striped leggings to mimic her pants, because I do really like her pants. But yeah, overall, didn't really change too much about Velvette. But I did make sure that she had plenty of heart shapes in her design. Like, she got her head, her torso, the bottom of her coat. She has a lot of hearts, which is kind of funny since Valentino is supposed to be the guy that's focused on, like, romance movies or whatever he does. I don't know. Love potion? Sure. I think it's nice if each character has something they have in common with a different character, but it's, like, changed up a little bit. Like, Velvette and Valentino, they both have the hearts on their design. Vox and Velvette are both relating to, like, screens and social media, and then Valentino and Vox are gay. I don't know.
Welcome to Bible study. We're all children of Jesus. Kumbaya, my Lord.
I don't know. But yeah, I don't really have much else to say about Velvette, so I think we're ending off the video here. And there we have it, the Vees. I love how each of these drawings turned out. It was fun to mess with their designs without trying to match it to Vivzi's style perfectly, cause that simply isn't my style. Will I make another one of these? Probably not, unless a bunch of y'all really want me to. Cause as much as I appreciate what this show did for indie animation, it isn't my cup of tea. If the video didn't make that apparent. But if you want to rave about how much you love the show in the comments, go ahead. I love seeing people get excited over the things they like. Just keep it civil down there, please. Bye!